Hello all, thanks for joining me again. Today we'll be discussing one of the most important topics that one can explore within themselves. That topic is the meeting with the spirit. Now, it's not just any spirit, it's your spirit. It's the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of wholeness. In order to prepare the ground, there are some fundamental things that you need to reconcile within yourself before such a meeting can be fruitful. Without laying the groundwork, you may achieve the meeting, but its fruits and its holiness will not be available to you. So I'm going to be asking some questions. These are not rhetorical questions. These are questions that you need to ask yourself. So I'm here just to help point the finger at those questions and hopefully highlight why they're important. Before I get started though, I wanted to play a little track for you just to loosen things up a little bit.
As hesitated pleasures turn into pain. Whatever happened to the good old days? The soul wants to listen, but the mind plays games. Try to seize control, but it's all in vain. Say you want your soul back, but don't know what it means. Searching outside of yourself for a taste of real human being. Seeking in the mind for ease. Find no reprieve, just robberies. Reflections fade into reverie. Rewinding inside of a twisted dream. Multiply personalities. Hitting walls wedged in between. Go third person, zoom out of me. Glean circumference of the TV screen. But only so eyes can receive. The ears can make believe. Take a leap of rediscovery. Shark circle until you can be. Find a happy place full of peace. Set the stage for a meet and greet. Call upon your spirit humbly. Reforge the broken cabling. Necessitated pleasures turn into pain. Whatever happened to the good old days? The soul wants to listen, but the mind plays games. Try to seize control, but it's all in vain. Is who am I? Voices reply sophisticated lies, but the ones who do not seek, run or hide. Answers imbue deep in you, they reside. Thoughts spawn come from sources outside. Try to grasp truth and watch it slip on by. Watch it pass through, you don't really need to buy. Your robot view, nothing can escape the eye. Histories make for borrowed homes. Through time, names are set in stone. Framed in minds where the stories grow. Foundations form from hollow plot holes. Echoes retold of old heroes. So bold they fly by every 1,000 years or so. Cast out, murdered, and rejected by the whole. Ground down to dust for a new cornerstone.
All right, I think that's enough of that. Now we've got a little bit of context, musical context here. We can begin our exploration. I want to ask you some questions. Have you realized that answers spawn new questions? Have you been seeking answers? Have you noticed that when you find an answer, it's akin to a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow? Seems the moment you're close to grasping it, a new pot of gold appears in the world for you to journey towards and chase, one answer after another, stacking on top of each other, with each one spawning more questions. Have you realized that these answers are not a destination? Have you noticed that the answers, by spawning new questions, are directions? Do you find directions on a map? The world that we're traveling through, this world is where the eyes and mind are focused on for the questions and for the answers. But have you considered if this is a trustworthy source of information on the question of who am I? Do you trust the world? Or do you fear it? What's the source of your fear? Can you name evil in the world? Is the source of that naming in the world? Or is the phone call coming from inside the house? Why is it that we seek out fear? Is it because we love fear? What drives us towards fearful thinking, fearful subject matter? Is it that we hate the evil in the world? And therefore want to consume as much knowledge about that evil as possible? Or is there an underlying mechanism inside of us that is pushing us towards that type of learning? What if you discovered that that mechanism is a great source of wisdom and self-knowledge? The evil that we can recognize in the world is only possible if we can recognize it within ourselves. So I've asked, do you trust the world? But what I'm really asking is, do you trust yourself? Are you seeking answers? Or are you seeking a reflection of the things that you have not yet reconciled and made whole within yourself? Is your fear of the evils of the world coming from the world? Or is it coming from you? Do you want to be in fear? Or do you want to be in love? Can you be in love? without first reconciling the fear and distrust within yourself? Can you trust the world if you don't trust yourself? Can you love the world if you have not yet fully accepted all of what you are? How can you accept all that you are if you have not yet confronted yourself? Are you willing to accept that the things in the world that you cannot accept are the very things within yourself that you cannot accept? Before we can talk about meeting your spirit, you need to come to terms with these things. Because these things are the veils that prevent you from looking because you're not looking. All that you can do is project and reflect. So before you consider the question, who am I? You need to ask, what is it that I fear the most? Until you get to the root of that question, you will not be able to see and in order to ask, who am I? You need to be looking. Not at reflections, but where's the source of that reflection? And not out of fear, but out of love. Are you willing to accept that fear creates delusions, that a lack of trust, and therefore a lack of love creates cognitive dissonance? Within yourself. This dissonance is the very ink that clouds the vision. It clouds the mirror. When you're ready to clean the mirror, what you're cleaning off the mirror are the lies that you've been telling yourself. The delusions that have been created in order to cope with living in a fear-based world. Now, have you realized that the delusions and lies that create this dissonance are stories? And what are stories? Stories are made up of words. But underneath the words is an invisible meaning that is not contained in the words themselves. The meaning is the base. It is the real. But the words are reflections of that meaning. So these words are one step removed from base reality at all times. At no point can the words ever reflect the real. The words are merely symbols. These symbols are directions The symbols point to something that is real. So when you're asking yourself, who am I? Understand what is really going on. When you're looking for an answer, just going to pull something up real quick. On the screen here, we've got something referred to as infinite recursion. And that's what happens when a reflection meets a reflection. It creates you might want to call this entropy. Entropy is a disorder. The scene from The Matrix when Neo meets the architect is another example, just shown a little bit different. This is when Neo is asking questions. Each of the screens echoes a different answer or a different response to the architect. This is the same thing that's happening when you ask, who am I? The point of the question is not the answer. The point of the question is to observe the question and observe the process of answering. If you can see infinite recursion taking place in that process, then maybe you will finally understand what the question's really asking. And when you've finally understood the answer to that question, it's time to meet your spirit. Now, the world is a map. And in this map contain legends. And these legends have millions of different faces and labels and names. It's truly spectacular how much diversity there is with the maps. But one thing they all have in common is that they're all pointing to the same thing. They're directions. They're not directions to another map or another answer. They're a map that's pointing to something that cannot be put into words or symbols. They're pointing to the source of the question. And the final question you need to understand before you meet with the spirit is, what are you willing to trade to become whole? Maybe you spent an entire lifetime collecting various maps and build up an identity around these maps, full of cognitive dissonance and contradiction. These maps, they've got you this far. They've got you to the point of seeing that the maps are not an answer, but a question. They're not a destination, but a direction. But now that the other side is in sight, now that they have carried you across the river, are you willing to let them go? So that you can finally step forward in the territory that they were all pointing you to. If the answer is yes, then it's time for you to meet the one who has been silently guiding you the whole time. Now, as I understand it, today is June 8th, and I believe we're in Gemini season, which is quite appropriate, because the sign of Gemini refers to the twins. Now, these twins are not just contained within this one myth, but they're contained within many of our legends. And they're here to point a finger for you. I'm going to use one of these myths just as to help elucidate the situation. In Greek mythology, Castor and Pollux were inseparable twin brothers. Pollux was the immortal son of Zeus, while Castor was the mortal son of the Spartan king Tyndareus. Now I just want to point out that Tyndareus. So tinder is referring to the thing that it's like a little thin bale of sticks that you use to start a fire. Okay? If you can understand how that would be quite useful in this myth, it's referring to a fuel for a fire. I'll continue reading now. Celebrated as patrons of travelers, sailors, and athletes, the brothers were ultimately immortalized together as the constellation Gemini. Now, I just want to touch quickly on the words that are being used in this myth, because Pollux is referring to the pole axis. It's the unmoving center, which is immortal. It's the immortal son of Zeus. Many myths refer to this pole as a seed, whereas Castor, if we understand what's being mentioned here, is casting, like a fishing line. Fishing for what? Now, these brothers are sailors. So what does a sail actually mean? I'm going to read for you the definition of sail. Sail is a piece of shaped cloth spread so as to catch the wind and cause a vessel to move in water. It's from the Old English segel, S-E-G-L, which means veil or curtain. Now, we're all sailors here in this world. So long as we are sailing, we are veiling. This word sail points to a Proto-Indo-European root, sek, S-E-K, which means to cut. Now, you're going to find this terminology used across many myths because to cut implies a division. And it's a division that allows one to become two, or a whole to become twins. And so Castor and Pollux are holy sailors They are the whole that has been divided into twins. Now, a really important point before we discuss the spirit. At the end of this myth, there's a note. It says, "Two sailors. The twins were highly revered as the patron gods of navigation." And we've been talking about how this world is a map that's pointing directions. These twins are navigators. I'll continue reading. They were believed to appear to distressed ships in the form of Saint Elmo's fire. Saint Elmo's fire is a luminous plasma which served as a sign of the brothers' protective presence and a promise that the storm would pass. Now, if you're listening to this video and you've gotten this far into the video, then you're probably determined to stop the infinite recursion of seeking and become a finder. To get to that point, you need to exhaust yourself. You need to exhaust your expectations that the answers in this world will never satisfy the question. And until you've gotten to that point, you're still holding on to something. And that something is the veil. I'm just going to ask you this question again. What are you willing to trade to become whole? Because the legends are telling you that no reward of salvation or holiness comes without the greatest sacrifice. This sacrifice is the cross. And these questions are the nails. If you have nowhere else to look out there, and you truly have realized that there is no answer out there, if you have realized that there's only infinite recursion, then it's time to put all of your focus, turn all of your attention back to the source of all of these questions. Because the one who's turning in is the twin brother who has been veiled from his other half. And the only thing that stops you from meeting him and healing the severance is your desire to keep sailing, to keep traveling, to keep navigating through the map, navigating through the directions. That navigation was fueled by hope. Hope that the answer was out there. Hope that the order could be found outside of the source. And after you've sailed long enough, and you've seen that that is not possible, hope is destroyed. Because you've realized that hope was putting your focus into the future, into a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. So now let's go and finalize the journey. It's time to meet your spirit. It's time to heal the cut, to remove the veil. It's time to meet the Wizard of Oz, the one behind the curtain. When you've made this determination, then it remains your only priority. The question that comes up then is how? What's the method? Once you understand why, the how becomes apparent to you. Each of us will find our own way back. All I can offer you is a word of advice. When you're going to sleep, Not when you're tired, but when you are fully awake. I want you to lay down, close your eyes, and visualize yourself somewhere a location, a happy place. Not one that is full of activity, but one of tranquility. I want you to bring yourself to a place where maybe you have once felt the connection of love, of God, in nature, a place of seclusion, a place where it's just you and nature. Now, while you try to visualize this place, thoughts are going to occur that prevent you from instantly going there. And that is perfectly part of the process. This is how you learn that thoughts are echoes. And if you try to control your thought with more thought, you're simply creating more echo. So how do you go from being aware of being in your bed to being aware of being in your happy place? You have to stop trying to control and let go. And when you let go, eventually the thoughts will let go. Now, you're not just going to a happy place. The happy place is the stage. Your only intention for this happy place is to meet your spirit. And if you have properly understood, investigated the questions that we have been talking about earlier, then there will be no more veil. And when you arrive at this place, your spirit will be there, waiting to greet you. Now, what you do with that is entirely up to you. I'm not here to tell you what you experience or what realizations you should have. You won't need any of that anymore. You'll never have to look outside again for another answer. All I can do from here is congratulate you and wish you the best of luck.